think you might be the right person for it.
Get some rest. You have work to do.
Why don't you stop running a game on me and just tell me about the job?
It's time to break down another Better Call Saul episode in order. This is the deadliest episode, and I've got 74 details you might not know in Season 4, Episode 4.
Talk.
We start with a montage, possibly in 1984, an important year for Mike, as we'll learn in the future. A version of the montage song was used in the Malcolm in the Middle episode with their garage turned into a meth lab.
You really want to know?
Not really.
Why might this be 1984? Because Detective Abbasi said Matty
Was a rookie officer with about 2 years on the job.
in 2001 when he was killed. Philly police training takes about 9 months, so he probably joined in 1998 at the minimum age of 20. The actor was 5 or 6 here, and it's reasonable to assume his age matches Matty's. Wait, did Matty actually survive and become Lance?
Matt?
No.
Even though you don't get a clear shot of him, they cast this body double based on looking at old photos of Jonathan Banks. By the way, here's a taste of Jonathan's first acting job.
So what's so different about you?
I got my first period today.
I should have known something was different as soon as she got a strike. She's usually such a rotten bowler. What Judy has just told Johnny can be easily misunderstood, especially if you get your information on street corners. Who would have thought it? Just 7 short days ago, there I was, an innocent dumbbell kid. Now here I am, able to buy sanitary napkins without flinching. You know, I think I'm qualified now to do a report on menstruation.
Editor Chris McCaleb said he looked so much like Jonathan they could have put him on camera. Stacy told us about this moment last season.
You built a carport when Matty was a kid, and you let Matty write his initials in the wet cement. Pop, pop, pop. The way he talked about you, it was like you hung the moon.
He wanted me to talk. I talked.
The idea is that Mike is thinking about this moment at group therapy, and it seems to have led to something bad. We'll find out more in a bit. The Westward Ho Motel is the headquarters for the Espinosa gang, rival to the Salamancas, as we'll find out soon. It's a real-life motel that had just been remodeled, only for the show to come in and make it look run down again with their own graffiti and garbage. Peter Gould said they modeled this after a Breaking Bad location that didn't exist anymore, and I think he's talking about the shooting gallery from the ABQ episode. That was filmed at a historic landmark demolished in 2011. The owner offered to let it be blown up on Breaking Bad, but it was not meant to be. The motel had some permanent residents, and producers offered to send them to Hotel Chaco while filming, although the residents in these 2 units declined and just stayed inside. We're following Diego, the same guy Mike witnessed do the dead drops last season. They mixed in different songs as he passes by each room, although 2 of them are songs from the future. Putting the refrigerator door here was production designer Judy's idea to show the resourcefulness of the gang. Prop master Mark Hansen confirmed Diego is intentionally using and leaving the same duffel bag that Arturo used to carry the kilos. This helps sell the setup that this gang did the car heist and would have taken the bag from his car.
Done.
James McGill.
James, hi, it's Robbie Finn from CC Mobile. If you're still interested, we'd like to offer you a position at our Uptown branch.
Oh, this is the cell phone store?
You bet. You made quite an impression on Mr. Boyd.
Cell phones. It's the beating heart of any business.
Ring.
Just talked about starting you off as a shift supervisor.
Between selling copiers and selling cell phones, it's interesting how Jimmy's job choices would keep reminding him about what he did to Chuck. This part is one of many reshoots in this episode. Originally, he was moving around a lot and looking at Kim when saying,
My plans have changed. I'm not going to be able to take that job.
but it looked too much like he was rejecting the job for Kim, so they made it more about being lazy.
Have yourself a good day, James.
You too.
The props team removed the blades from this razor. That Barbasol can is from at least 10 years in the future.
I should be back by 7.
After this, they pause the on-screen credits during this important conversation and don't start them back up until the next scene.
What's up?
I was thinking that maybe you should talk to someone. I got a name.
The shaving cream on his face changes quite a bit in this close-up, then changes back.
Thought you could give him a call.
It's a shrink?
It works for a lot of people.
Yeah, okay. I have to check out my schedule, and I got a job.
Uh-huh.
CC Mobile, I start today. I'm a shift supervisor even. Be very impressed.
Anything rather than admit he doesn't want to go to therapy.
That is great.
And then 10 months from now, poof, I'm a lawyer again.
This checks out because Jimmy's suspension started in February and it's April.
All right. Just give him a call when you get a chance.
Of course, absolutely.
The bedroom door just went from wide open to mostly closed.
Have a good first day.
They're both still lying to each other.
You can count on it.
The note says Barry Lipson with a fake number. It's a missed opportunity to say Dave.
She's got this therapist, Dave. Dave is really good.
Mr. Finn, James McGill, I just can't pass up this opportunity. If the position is still open.
Morning, Kim.
What's on for today?
This doesn't seem like Mesa Verde work. What's she up to?
Papadoumian has settlement conferences.
Judge Papadoumian counts as a Breaking Bad character.
Judge Papadoumian. She thinks I'm a snappy dresser.
And we do finally see her, sort of, in a Season 5 animated extra.
Judge Clark has a pair of corporate bankruptcies. Munsinger looks like criminal trespassing, aggravated stalking, and some pleading down.
Okay.
This is the third and final episode directed by John Scheiben, who goes way back with Vince from the X-Files days. He was the first Breaking Bad writer other than Vince to direct an episode, which opened the door to others doing the same.
We'll reconvene in 30 days for a proper pre-trial conference, shall we? Next.
State versus Scotty Blakey.
Miss Wexler, do you have a matter before the court today?
No, Your Honor, just observing.
Crystal Eichmann on behalf of the state.
The prosecutor was originally a man in the script, but after finding Elizabeth, they changed the character to a woman named Crystal.
It's your turn.
Okay. I'm Scotty Blakey, here for myself.
I called this case last week and you didn't show up, hence the bench warrant.
This officer just appeared out of nowhere. You might know Ethan Phillips, who plays Judge Munsinger from Voyager, a show that featured many other Better Call Saul actors.
I'm in a meeting, Dave. I'm doing the community service.
Judge Munsinger would like to see you in chambers at the next recess.
This bailiff also appeared last season when Jimmy was arrested.
In?
Oh, I don't want to bother you while you're eating.
Shit, help me take my mind off this eggplant and okra. My wife insists, cholesterol.
Watching our cholesterol, I guess.
Yada, yada.
He was really eating eggplant and okra, and it was a problem because it was so crunchy and loud.
Are you researching something?
Just observing.
Howard Hamlin's fine with one of his associates just sitting around my court all day.
I don't care.
I left HHHHHM. I'm a solo practitioner now.
No kidding.
This office is on location at the courthouse, but it was just an empty room before they turned it into a set. The writers, as usual, put a lot of thought into the details of his office, including the very prominent University of Miami decor. For whatever reason, they thought that law school fit him rather than something like Harvard Law. I don't know what's up with the double 1092 on his phone, but that doesn't seem useful.
I'm outside counsel for Mesa Verde.
Mesa Verde. I heard about a case. I think you might be the right person for it.
You stinker.
Interested?
Of course.
There's a young woman pregnant with her first child, and there's a mistake with the anesthesia. She aspirates vomitus into her oxygen mask. She's left comatose on a respirator. The hospital refuses to take responsibility, and they've hired one of the most expensive firms in the state.
This is the plot of The Verdict.
Yes, of course it is.
The Verdict is Peter Gould's favorite courtroom movie.
Movies are the only place where those once-in-a-lifetime cases exist.
Especially because most cases don't go to trial, and then a small percentage of those make it to verdict. We know Kim was inspired by movies.
I wanted to be him.
You know what I got coming up next? I got a janitor who threw his pee on his boss.
That's enough!
The one after that, she stabbed her boyfriend over a grilled cheese sandwich.
It's pimento.
Excuse me.
This is the real world, and you won't find any Save the Broken Lawyer cases in it. Don't think that you are the first to try to rediscover their love of the law by trolling my court. You're not.
The time on his phone believably goes from 12:20 to 21 to 23, even though the time span is slightly shorter than that.
Stick to Mesa Verde. Make lots of money. Give some to charity. And having said that, we've got perpetual PD overload. Next time I see you lurking in my court, I'm going to put you to work.
Understood.
A few moments later.
State versus Lester Downs.
Kim is either up for PD work or she's just exercising her right to observe a public court proceeding because the judge's pushback is silly. The props team custom made this crossword puzzle. Here's another song from the future and one that describes Mike in this episode pretty well. Here comes a much better lunch date than Hector. John Scheiben directed both of these episodes and intentionally echoed the Hector shot, which echoed the Lydia shot in Breaking Bad.
Paper?
Thank you.
Anita works at Craddock Marine Bank. I wonder if she's the reason Mike got a safety deposit box there. When Tamara saw she was going to wear this, she asked the writers what about the business she had with her husband.
The camping supply store. I helped him with the mail order side of it.
Their answer was that after Alan disappeared, the joy went out of it and she changed careers.
22 across is Esmeralda.
You sure about that?
This is extra weird since the crossword was made for the close-up. The clue is what Marie wanted Holly White's name to be.
Esmeralda!
The paper does have a mix of anachronisms, like this article on the Time's Up movement from January 2018.
You know, a girlfriend of mine is playing piano with her band tonight. You want to go?
Tonight's group?
We could ditch.
I better go. I told Stacy I'd be there.
Sure.
Maybe I could stop by after.
That'd be great.
They intentionally gave Mike a more relaxed outfit than typical to reflect how comfortable he is with her. He's got his sleeves rolled up and an extra button unbuttoned. Now's a good time to mention that Mike's last name was an homage to Vince's wife's friend, Anita Ehrmantraut, so this joining of Mike and Anita is fitting.
Speaking of group, I've been thinking about reaching out to Henry.
Henry's fine.
How do you know?
That dead wife he's always talking about never existed.
Why would you even say that?
The guy's story changes every time he tells it. The romantic night at the Cubs game, their first kiss. Wrigley Field didn't get lights until '88. There were no night games before then.
We're not the only ones who notice anachronisms. Right after this extra walks by, here he is again.
Why would anyone make up a story like that?
Here you go.
You have a very suspicious nature.
Watch him. He's got to tell. Like a bad poker player, when he's lying, he rubs his wrist.
You want to put your money where your mouth is?
Well, you gonna come to group tonight?
Make it interesting.
$10 says that when he talks about Judy, different story.
All right. You're on.
This sounds like lighthearted fun that won't go wrong. He is a time bomb.
Tick, tick, tick.
And Anita's going to be around for the boom. Let's take a moment to say farewell to Loyola's Family Restaurant. After appearances in 2 Breaking Bad episodes and now 8 Better Call Saul episodes, we surprisingly aren't going to see it again.
Backwards only. Solo backwardo. Don Clifford wants his floors clean.
The show assembled this store from scratch out of a completely gutted empty space, although it was previously a contact wireless store, and you can see their slogan still on the sign outside. They did such a good job setting it up that people came in off the street thinking it was a real cell phone store. They also made this fake Tyler Hardware sign instead of showing the real sign for HydroLife Grow Supplies. This is not just a phone, but a phone from the future. So is this one.
CC Mobile, this is Jimmy.
Heyo, how's the first morning?
Long over, as it's 3:04 p.m.
It's a little slow.
Yeah, that store's always been a bit calmer. Wait till inventory week. There's a line out the door.
When's inventory week?
You just missed it.
Any chance that you could move me to a store with a little more traffic?
Let's give it a couple weeks and then we'll see.
No problem.
Keep up the good work.
Maybe business would be better if they stocked the
Cinco phone. The great thing about the Cinco phone, it has one button and one only. Let's say I want to call my mom. 5, 5, 5. Oh. 1, then 9, and then 9, and then... The Cinco phone is such a powerful phone, it has a tendency to get warm. But that's never a problem, because each Cinco phone comes with a tube of cooling gel. Kick-ass gel. The battery lasts up to 1 full phone call. It's a great phone.
You can see the reflection of a crew member in the glass, and many native speakers have told me this is grammatically incorrect. They did something unusual here. With every cut, they cut to a different song. It accentuates the boredom and the humor. Fiona Com is back. We saw it in the very first episode, named after Peter Gould's daughter. This appears to be a Nokia E65 from the future, but also this sign should say advanced. The CC Mobile logo appears to be based on the Calibri typeface. It's not like the graphic designer just typed the letters and called it good, but with some skewing and smushing, it gets pretty close. Calibri wasn't released to the public until 3 years in the future, but it was designed by Luc de Groot starting in 2002. Clearly, Luke was hired by CC Mobile to design their logo, and people liked it so much that he turned it into a font that he sold to Microsoft. Peter said they were thinking of both The Great Escape and The Shining here, so it's probably a colorful reference from the writers rather than Jimmy. Jimmy has also done this before. Gus probably knew from the start that he was going to frame the Espinosa gang because this silver Camaro somewhat matches what Nacho told the cousins. Nacho's like, that license plate is going to appear within the first minute of the first episode of Pluribus. In Act 1, they were going to show them puncturing the car to make it look like bullet holes from the imaginary heist, but realized it wouldn't look believable.
Este lugar es una fortaleza. Vamos a necesitar más gente. Nos juntamos y los atacamos esta noche.
God damn it, Leroy.
Fucking Salamancas.
An extreme close-up means a camera reflected in eyeballs. These close-ups were shot 3 months later. They realized they wanted more of the focus on this scene on Nacho's emotional reaction rather than the carnage and needed more footage to tell the story. This explains the makeup differences with Nacho's wounds. Even without the reshoot, they had filmed this scene over 2 days. This guy's Dickies jeans have a logo that wasn't introduced until 2005. Some of this is also from the reshoot, so they had to do all the graffiti and everything a second time. Thanks to Thick Wheezy for taking control of the kills counter as it pops off. When counting, it's hard to know who was already dead. The escalating score sounds just like the score in the chicanery flashback that led to Chuck throwing Rebecca's phone. Here's an inconsistency caused by such a long film shoot, and the reshoot. This guy hopped up on this pile post-death and keeps moving. He also rose from the dead in the very next shot. There are 3 new bodies here. Numbers 37 and 38 popped up out of nowhere. And there's that duffel bag that belonged to Arturo. This is a warehouse that they dressed up to look like the meetup spot from last season. They wanted to go back to the original spot, but it had been torn down between seasons.
We cleared out the Espinosas.
And the Salamanca brothers?
They went back south until the heat dies down. It's territory, isn't it? Salamancas wipe out the Espinosas. Territory is up for grabs. Cartel can't give it to the Salamancas, so I think they give it to you.
This is random, but for this entire 11-second shot, Gus didn't blink.
Get some rest. You have more to do.
I think he's really come a long way.
We've got some familiar faces from the last time we were here, like the bingo lady and this lady who moved seats.
Whoops. Willa, you hadn't quite finished.
Although Willa is new.
I hope he takes the job.
Stacy?
I got up and I took a shower.
Her accent comes through a little bit, like in the 2 different ways she says French toast.
French toast. French toast. We talked about the self-pasting toothbrush she's making for the science fair.
I think I also invented a self-pasting toothbrush in elementary school. Who else has done this?
Hadn't thought about Matty all morning.
God damn you!
And they weren't just minutes. There were hours that I didn't think about him. And if I can go hours, then what if I forget him completely?
It makes sense that Mike would think of Matty in the concrete now, as he had forgotten about that until Stacy reminded him. So that plus Stacy's admission leads to his eruption when Henry dares to compare fictional
Judy
to Matty.
A lot of us in this room have felt the same things you're talking about.
I know I have. This guy at work, I've been avoiding him for the last 2 weeks, ever since he got back from his vacation to Australia.
This is Mark Evan Jackson, who has been in so many things.
Are there no other actors? She always wanted to go to Sydney, but money was tight. Finally, we were gonna go.
Tick, tick, tick.
And that's when she got her test results.
Mike, you have something you want to add?
You don't want to hear what I have to say.
We're ready if you are.
Huh? This guy was never married.
What are you talking about?
Mike, now, you know the rules.
Yeah, I know your rules. He's been coming in here for months selling you a bill of goods.
You've been sold a bill of goods.
Getting you all misty-eyed and loving every minute of it. Stop.
That's just not true.
Yeah? So I'll go to the public library. Tell me I'll find her obituary.
He has already shared his entire family tree.
She wanted to go to Australia? Last month it was Cuba.
I mean, both could be true.
Come on, Mike.
She's not there, is she?
I will never, ever admit that.
He came to the right place, didn't he? He knew you wouldn't notice. And you didn't. All wrapped up in your sad little stories, feeding off each other's misery.
What's the point? You're nothing to me but customers!
Mike and Jimmy's storylines once again parallel each other. They both do not want to go to therapy to talk about their lost loved ones.
You wanted me to talk. I talked.
And his budding relationship with Anita is a casualty. This whole scene was a very late addition and didn't exist until the reshoots 3 months later. With the increased focus on Nacho, they felt they needed to give a bit more of an ending to this part.
Lárgate. No estoy para juegos. Te dije que te fueras de mi casa. Dios mío, ¿qué han hecho?
Papá, no.
Necesitas ir al hospital.
Estaré a salvo.
I believe the 911 dispatcher will call him back and send the police if he doesn't answer.
You don't just hang up on a 911 call.
But perhaps the callback happens after this scene.
Puedo descansar aquí por un ratito.
This one?
Story-wise, this is a different Madrigal location.
What, this one?
No.
But in reality, it's the same Cisco warehouse we saw in the season premiere.
This one.
That is not what that phone's screen looked like in real life, and it doesn't appear that it was able to vibrate either. Wow, parking attendant Mike would never ignore Stacy's call.
What's that say?
Like Stacy's fake phone number, this fake temperature was digitally added in post as the trailer was not actually chilled.
Should be 35. Must have come in set wrong.
Goes out set right.
This is
Intermodal transportation.
degrees matter.
Manifest doesn't say anything about... We'll fix that.
You're goddamn right.
What does any of this have to do with security? Is he now quality control?
This okay with you?
Might be a little frayed, but the rest of them are fine.
And you know this how?
So we're pulling all the E-track straps.
Is that a question?
Mike is still grumpy.
We'll pull them.
Ehrmantraut.
He wants to see you tonight.
Hold on. We're not done yet.
This is not only
A world
almost
without Coca-Cola.
but it's also from that point in the future. We can see the modified Pepsi globe that didn't appear until 2008, Dr. Pepper's 2006 logo, and Shasta's 2011 can design.
I'm a fancy guy myself.
The tools inside Ace Rebar are fine, even though I'm sure the show didn't change anything. This scene was originally going to take place at the Beachcomber Apartments.
The Beachcomber? The Beachcomber Apartments!
But the laundry room looked unrecognizable from Breaking Bad, so they changed their plans.
Here you go.
Whoa, this is more than we talked about.
Bavarian boy made quite a splash at the Collectibles Expo.
You could have kept most of this. I would have never known the difference.
You could have left me high and dry.
Honor among thieves.
I'm liking this Hummel thing. Got any more where that came from?
No, not really.
He kind of does, but he's not willing to stoop that low.
We're gonna do this again. I'll find something.
That he will.
When you do, call the vet.
Yeah?
New job, new phone. You never know who's listening.
So Ira triggers a series of events that ultimately leads to Breaking Bad and El Camino. He's the one to blame, not our precious Jimmy. Right here was a scene they cut. We were going to see Jimmy back at CC Mobile getting the idea for his new scheme. Instead, we jump right to him painting the windows. The song for this mini montage was director John's idea, and the lyrics do have some relevance. Peter Gould pointed out that Jimmy's using Saul Goodman colors here. Such a clear night, not a
Jupiter
in the sky. The writers liked that the audience would recognize this location as the spot where Gus killed Arturo, but Mike wouldn't. So maybe the audience would feel Mike's in danger, especially when he pushes back.
You want to see me? Here I am.
If the audience hadn't seen Breaking Bad.
There is a matter we need to discuss.
Okay.
To save money, they didn't apply the branding to the other side of this truck.
Do you have something to tell me?
Nacho Varga. I wondered when you were going to get around to this.
When it comes to the connection between Mike and Nacho, we must ask ourselves once again, how did Gus know? Writer Marion said he knows from when they were tracking Mike, and we also saw them tracking Nacho.
You knew Varga was moving against my interests.
I said I wouldn't kill Salamanca. I never promised to be his bodyguard. Well, now, you gonna make a move, you better make it. But they're not gonna, are they? You brought me here because you haven't asked. So why don't you stop running a game on me and just tell me about the job?
Next time on Better Watch TV.
A day that I, as a director, will never forget. I've never seen a level of excitement and anticipation as this.
We are looking at gorgeous, silky, expensive, 35mm film.
Congratulations and thanks to Magnos for joining the
2-year members
and to the new
1-year members.
Chairman Tyler Blake, Marijuano, Fed 927, SG, Johnny Boy 07, High Tier, 37th U.S. President Richard M. Nixon, Noah Spurn, Darren Penner, Slushy, Fabian, Dean Scarna, W. Lua, Creamy Bingus, Gimme Jimmy, L&M, Dennis Marquez, Chaz Tafari, Ziki, Untitled Torch, Cuddles Like Pie, Kermode, Luke McGinnis, Koja, Nazim Gokin, Kastad and Raichev, Kid 828 Gaming, Frank West, Fuza, John Meatball, Nursultan Toyakbay, Silesian, The Apple Miku, Gameplay, Jonah Fagelson, Del Taco, Arrows Canaria, Pie for Prez, Conman Albuquerque, Please Don't Read This, Coach Beer, Waco 238, Sam Robinson, Marcel 911, The Wandering Chin, Swagalope, Terry Bergen, Daniel Joe, Joey, Tavini 1, Ayagovos, Alex Miskell, Vivers, Marghost, Hayes CLU, Celebration, James Jasandi, Andy Roo TD, 225544, MV Vontloffen, Walter's 52nd Annual Baconing, Lightning Mix, Saoirse Woods, Sponge Booby, Popular Spoon, James Donovan, Ratstar, Ted Parkinson, Justin Thiner, Slow Diver 13, Eduardo Bueno, Dylan Hall, Krill, Monado, Chili, Tolis, Cold Harbor, Pyman III, Darren Mack, Liam T, Craig Rochelle, Marcus James, Ryan Kelly, Charles Uko, Jonathan Rosenbaum, Something Clever, Daniel Arreo, Unwanted Ghost 1, Anime, Derek Big Janitor Schmidt, The Red Baron Bird, Funstab, Dennis Lorenz, Anthony E, Benno, Chris M. Salvin, Kelly David, Prasnik, Iban, Yano F, TLT, Leo Dumas, A Dog Named Milo, Casey McAllister, Frank, Carrot, Beta, Cipriano, 1000X, Halo, Shaolin Diamonds, Felix K, and I Will Heal You, but later. And now here's the new
6-month members.
Basilisk, Caden Davis, Avenging Boot 257, Patrick Zerwinski, Ja Peg, Chris, Lawrence, Foob, Grooving Tachano, Bean and Milk, Visiopia, I Theft Auto, Butters, Scarlet with 2 T's, Forfacar Minjikar, Chevy, The One and Only Ages, Batpug, French Fries QC, Bob Dolan, Hoop Scoop FR, Triatharva, Jack Chorus, Sour Lemon Studios, Finn Warner, Alakazam, Ethan, Sebastian Castellanos, Sweet Chocolate Dan, Jules Bartholomew, Alexa Hunter, The Ferrito, Magyar Osmongold, Carwy 97, Devilface, Chester Unal, That Umbrella Guy, Guy, Loud Puspa, the Youth 365-740, Shuckle, the Real Captain Kiwi, Hodos, Robert Van Beckham, Rabbi V, Radley, Victor Lindgreen, Stephen Buffkin, Edge Balik, William Grimm, Jason Kambizaka, Aaron Dixon, Majupa, Moray Barclay, Mac P, Retry, Brady Raving Raptor, Super, Rob Dawson, Luca Teal of Mira, Dan the Man, Fezer, Dilto, Dr. Volga, Jay, Yannick, Canocan, Ben Hooper, Bird Politician, I Ate a Bible Once, Wiz G, Gus, Calisada, Tamrilyn, JJ Hinklestorm, LKCD, Christian Steffen, Craig LaPaglia, Katie Santor, Shimmer Light, Samantha, Ingrid Dunowitz, Laurie Presto, Rithrius, Nos Penix Perte, 4000 Pebbles, Hedge King, Defixed, Mr. Lorem Ipsum, Garlic Bread, Subcinerar, Stun, Invictus, Pengju Herb, Fernando Martin, Adrian Ramirez, Alexander Frost, Emra Blackstone, Prince of Food, Snoglin, Miku Miku 747, Juan Benitez, Glizzy Supreme, Yaroslave, Crimson, Jay, Puppy Paws 25, and Joe McGarty. Next time, we see Saul Goodman and what he was up to between Ozymandias and Granite State.
Afternoon, folks.
Do you have a bathroom?
No, we don't. But P.F. Chang's does. It's just around the corner.
Thanks. Come on, honey.
Oh, hey, buddy. Oh, here. Take one. It's free.
Say thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Wait up!
Like the big white truck out here, folks?
I fucking love the big white truck. Let's shoot this motherfucker.